Local 4 News starts now with a breaking news alert.
Two breaking stories we're following this morning. The first in Lansing, where Governor Whitmer signs a continuation budget as lawmakers work to finalize the new budget that they have been working on. And also in Washington, where the government is currently shut down. Many federal agencies will be closed today, and hundreds of thousands of government employees will be off the job after Congress failed to reach an agreement to avert the shutdown at midnight.
And if you listen to the rhetoric, this could get a lot worse. This is the first shutdown we've seen since late 2018 when President Trump was in office last time. It started at midnight, just hours after two last-ditch Senate votes to keep the government open failed.
Neither bill getting the necessary 60 votes needed to pass in the Republican-controlled chamber. Democrats hope to secure more money for affordable care, the Affordable Care Act subsidies, before costs for consumers skyrocket. Republicans say there is time to negotiate that later.
Now, in a shutdown, Social Security, Medicare, and VA benefits continue. So will student loans. But some national parks will close, and about 750,000 federal workers could be furloughed.
Senate Democrats have sacrificed the American people to Democrats' partisan interests.
So we see now Republicans are plunging America into a shutdown, rejecting bipartisan talks, pushing a partisan bill, and risking America's health care, worst of all.
So the last thing we want to do is shut it down, but a lot of good can come down from shutdowns.
Meantime, here at home, we avoided any impact from a very brief shutdown overnight until lawmakers passed a resolution to extend last year's budget for 1 week as they work on this year's budget. So we could be in for this again in 7 days.
The framework was released last week, and Governor Whitmer says that all state services will run as normal while the budget is finalized over the next few days.
Nick has been following this from Lansing overnight and is with us live this morning. Nick, what are you hearing?
You know, I got to tell you, Jason, it was kind of interesting because I thought the majority of us throughout the state of Michigan saw this framework deal come together, and we thought, okay, it seems like, the parties are coming together and we're going to avoid the shutdown. We had the shutdown for about 2 hours, so it did technically happen. But then as I was running back and forth between one chamber to the next over and over again, listening to the conversations, it seems like they are much further apart than we thought.
A majority of the members elected and serving having voted in favor, therefore, the Senate substitute is concurred in.
With that vote, the budget deadline has officially been pushed back 1 week, giving lawmakers another 7 days to try to come to a deal. The state shutdown only lasted about 2 hours, and there's a lot of finger pointing on who's to blame.
This is the challenge of Governor Whitmer over the last few years, is that they've spent a $9 billion surplus 2 years ago. And now they're ready to shut down government.
The proof is in the pudding. The last 2 years we were in a Democratic trifecta. The budget was passed on time every time. Now, the only thing that's different from those 2 years is we have a Republican-led House.
Ironically, though, when you ask each party what their priorities are, they somewhat align.
So what do we want to see for our public schools? How do we want to see them funded? Also, we have the Attorney General's office, the Department of State. We have the Department of Transportation is a big one. What does a roads funding plan look like?
We need to fix our local roads. We need to fix our kids' education because it's been tough for our kids to make it in Michigan when 3 out of 4 fourth graders can't read at grade level.
Most affected by the state budget being so late are Michigan schools.
They're wondering, are they still going to have school meals? How much are we going to fund them per pupil? Are they still going to have at-risk funding? Are they still going to have special education funding?
And now another 7 days to get a deal done.
It is my hope that we get this done by the end of the week. That is my hope. By the end of the week, we have got a budget, but I hope we also take some lessons away from this and we don't run into this problem every single year because it's just not fair to our residents here in Michigan. They deserve better.
And I think we could all agree that there are a lot of residents questioning what happens and why this happens. Have a job to do. In fact, if you remember, I'm just
And we lost Nick's microphone there. We apologize for that. But stay with Local 4 and click on Detroit.com for the latest on the budget shutdown in Washington and the work in Lansing to try and get that budget finalized over the coming days. And we'll be back with Nick in a little while.